This video will cover section 2.2 on circles. Now in this section we're not really going to be solving any type of equation, but we are going to be gathering information from an equation and then also writing an equation. And this equation is the center radius form of a circle. You don't want to have to solve it. It would be a little tedious to try and get it solved for x or for y. So we're just going to do some basic things, like I said. Write the equation, graph the circle, and then from the equation gather some information. Alright, so first of all, here's the form of the equation of a circle, the center radius form. So the name tells us what we can get from that equation. We can get the center and we can get the radius. Those two pieces of information are located within the equation. They will also help us write the equation. Alright, so the form says x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Alright, the h and the k are going to be numbers, and they form the coordinate of the center of the circle. So they're kind of like an xy coordinate. Alright, but they're called h and k because you don't want to get it confused with the x and the y that are within the equation. Alright, the r is the radius. Remember, the radius is the distance from the center of the circle to the outer edge. Radius, the distance of a circle. That's wrong. Let me write it down. Radius, the distance. So since it's distance, we know it has to be positive. The distance from the center to the outer edge. Alright, and we're going to use the center and the radius to help us graph a circle. Alright, now anytime you see an equation written as x squared plus y squared equals r squared, then we know that the circle has a center at 0, 0. Alright, and so if it was written out, it would look like this. Like that. And then if I subtract nothing from x, I just get x, and if I subtract nothing from y, I still just get y. So that's why we can write it like this. Alright, so I want to write the equation of a circle that has a center at 1, negative 2, and a radius of 3, and then I want to graph that circle. Alright, so here's my h, would be number 1, and then k is negative 2, and then here is r. And I just fill those in to the form up there. So we'll have x minus 1 squared plus y minus negative 2 squared equals r squared. So I simply filled in my h, k, and r into the form up here. Alright, so I put a number in h's place, k's place, and r's place. Alright, now if I simplify this, I'll have x minus 1 squared, and then minus a negative becomes plus. So that'll be y plus 2 squared, and then 3 squared is 9. Alright. So make sure that you know the form says y minus, and then insert whatever sign your k value is or your h value is. If it's negative, put negative. Alright, the formula says y minus, so keep that in mind. Alright, so I want to graph the center of the circle. So from the origin, I'm going to go right 1 and down 2. Alright, and this is going to be the center of my circle. Now, to get the actual circle, I'm going to use the radius because it is the distance from the center to the outer edge. Alright, and so to get enough points to make the circle, I'm going to go right 3. I'm going to go up 3. And I'm going to go left 3. And then I'm going to go down 3. Alright, then I'll connect my dots. Alright, and just try to connect them the best you can to form a circle. Alright, notice we didn't solve anything, we're just really filling in information and pulling information out of an equation. Alright, so let's look at number 2. Alright, my center is at 0, 0, and my radius is 2. So here's my H, here's my K, alright, here's my R. I'm going to fill those in. Alright, so for H I put 0, for K I put 0, and for R I put 2. Alright, and then x minus nothing would just stay x, and then I would square it. And then y minus 0 is just y, and then I would square it. Alright, and then 2 squared is 4. Alright, so here would be the equation of my circle. Alright, then I'm going to come over here, and the center is going to be at 0, 0. I'm going to go right 2, up 2, left 2, and down 2. And then connect my dots in the form of a circle. Alright. Number 3, we still want to write an equation of a circle. My center is at 2, 0, so H would be 2 and K is going to be 0. And then I have a radius of 5, so here's my R. I drop those into the form x minus 2 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 5 squared. So H, K, and R all get put in. Everything is squared. Alright, I don't know what x is, so I don't know what it would be if I subtracted 2. So it just stays as x minus 2 squared. Alright, and then y minus 0, if I don't take anything away from y, then it just stays y. Alright, and then 5 squared is 25. Alright, so here would be the equation of my circle. Alright, and then I want to graph it. So I'm going to go right 2 and none up or down. So right 2 and none up or down. And then from there I'll count 5 right, 5 left, 5 up, 5 down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright. Then I'll connect the dots as best I can. Alright, I'm not very good at drawing the circle, but you kind of get the idea. Alright, so we're not going to worry about number 4 and 5, so you can take those off, but I do want to show you how to pull information from an equation. So let's say we have an equation that looks like x minus 3 squared and y minus 4 squared equals 36. Alright, so if I gave you this equation, could you tell me the center and the radius? Alright, so the center, remember, is H and K. So that's these two numbers right here. Remember that the formula says x minus H. So H would be 3, and y minus K, so K would be 4. And then the radius comes from here, and remember this 36 came from squaring the radius. So if I take the square root of 36, I'll find that the radius is 6. Alright, let's try another. What if I have x plus 5 squared and y plus 9 squared equals 49? Alright, and I want to know what is the center and what is the radius. Alright, my center will be at negative 5. Remember, this is x minus, so if you see a plus there, this means it was x minus negative 5. Alright, so h is going to be negative 5. K is going to be negative 9. Alright, remember the formula says y minus k, so if your equation says y plus, that means that 9 had to have been negative. Y minus negative 9. Alright, so If it doesn't match the form, it's probably a sign. Alright, and really you could just think of it as take the opposite of those numbers would be your center. Alright, then the square root of 49 is 7. Alright, let's try another one. So don't worry about number 5. Let's say we had x squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 81. Alright, my center is going to be at 0, -3. My radius will be 9. Alright, so remember, if it says just x squared, 0 is your h or your k. Alright, let's try, I think you probably now get the idea of how to pull the information from the equation. Alright, and then we could use this information to graph these circles.